Shalom and welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream. My name is Adam, and I welcome you today. I want to talk about a lighter subject. I want to talk about how the Most High might view you. And the title of this is Beautiful Stones of Yahweh. And so what we're going to be doing here is reading from an article I wrote on the website, and I'll make sure to leave that as a link so that you can go back and study this at your own pace if you'd like. But I just wanted to quickly cover it. And so let's get right into it. Beautiful Stones of Yah. So as I was reading through my inbox this morning, I came across an email that made me stop and ponder. It's a subject that I found to be very intimate with our Maker, how he views those who keep his way. I'm sure most of us at some point in our walk have wondered how he feels about us, right? I'm pretty sure you've thought about that at some point. If we're doing it correctly, we find ourselves staying low, humble, meek, void of pride. Nevertheless, I want to take a moment and explore how Yahweh might feel about an end times remnant of his people, those who have forsaken vanity and the ways of the world and have come back to his true service. This may encourage you. So who does this apply to? And here I have in parentheses the real gospel alert. Believers who have been reconciled back to him, those who have been redeemed through the blood of Messiah Yahusha. You may pronounce his name differently, no worries. And our understanding that we are to walk as he walked, obedient to the commandments in spirit and in truth, not with lip service and through the vain traditions men have passed down for centuries, but the way he commanded it to be done. So if you're stumbling across this video by chance, it could happen, and you're not currently keeping the commandments. So let's say you believe in the Messiah that the Most High has sent for our forgiveness of sins, but you're not keeping his commandments at this point. Let me tell you something. Stay with us. This video might encourage you to want to keep his commandments, and I'll explain myself here shortly. So let's start with Peter. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so it be that you have tasted that our Adonai is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Elohim and precious, you also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Messiah Yahusha. And that's 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. So I love this passage for two reasons. First of all, we are all new to this, like babies being woken up to his truth and desiring his word. With this in mind, we must have patience with each other, knowing we are all on the same team and are at different stages of our growth, or even growing at different paces, much like plants do. So we really, no matter how well we're keeping his ways, we've really got to learn patience with each other, and knowing that we're just in different places at different times. Secondly, and pertaining to our short study, Peter likens Messiah and us as being living stones. Mankind is likened to many things in the scriptures, most often plants or trees, but in another sense, we're likened here as stones, living stones. So these stones, us, are currently being fit together and will continue to build up the spiritual house, the place for his set-apart spirit, the dwelling place for his ruach, his Holy Spirit, the set-apart spirit. Eventually, we will be the pillars or supports of New Jerusalem. We can find that in Revelation 3:12, which we will read in a moment. But first, here in a passage in Isaiah regarding New Jerusalem. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Your children shall make haste. Your destroyers and they that made you waste shall go forth of you. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, saith Yahweh, you surely shall clothe yourself with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. So that's Isaiah 49:16 through 18. So just as a bride is decked out with beautiful jewels and perhaps even a crown, so will New Jerusalem be filled with precious stones of beauty, his true children. So Baruch, scribe to Jeremiah, was shown that this building made without hands is the heavenly Jerusalem. And Yahweh said unto me, this city This is parentheses, is my understanding. This city, ancient Jerusalem, shall be delivered up for a time, and the people shall be chastened during a time, and the world will not be given over to oblivion. Do you think that this is the city of which I said, on the palms of my hands I have graven you? That's the passage we just read in Isaiah. This building now built in your midst is not that which is revealed with me, that which was prepared beforehand here from the time when I took counsel to make paradise and showed it to Adam before he sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him, as also paradise. After these things I showed it to my servant Abraham by night among the portions of the victims. And again, I showed it to Moshe, that's Moses, on Mount Sinai, when I showed to him the likeness of the tabernacle and all its vessels. And now, behold, it is preserved with me, as also paradise. Go therefore and do as I command you. And so Baruch was there with Jeremiah during the before and during the destruction of Babylon. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman, New Jerusalem, again, parentheses is my understanding, a woman, New Jerusalem, clothed with the sun and the moon at her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, 12 stars being the 12 tribes of Israel. That's Revelation 12:1. Next passage in Revelation 3:2, him that overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name. Again, Revelation 3:12. So here we can see that the children of Israel can be likened to stones upon the walls of New Jerusalem, a crown on top of New Jerusalem's head. Here we see that the overcomers are pillars in the temple of Elohim, right? And anyway, so a lot to be said here about being, and going back to what Peter said, living stones built up a spiritual house. So we are literally part of New Jerusalem. We are Jerusalem, I guess you can say. Just as the people of old were collectively Jerusalem, so goes the same today. So let's get to the heart of this study. Well, Yahweh's heart. This passage is from a book called 2nd Esdras. It's also known as 4th Ezra. It was included in the 1611 King James Version alongside the 1599 Geneva Bible and many other canons. You will see exactly his thoughts about you and about your beauty in his eyes. We will start with verse 17 of chapter 7. This comes right after the decree that we, his people, are to have tests and trials in this life in order to be worthy of entering in at the straight gate due to the transgression of Adam. I answered and said, O sovereign Adonai, I said then and I say now, blessed are those who are alive and keep your commandments. But what of those for whom I prayed? For whom among the living is there that has not sinned, or who among men has not transgressed your covenant? And now I see that the world to come will bring delight to few, but torments to many. For an evil heart has grown up in us, which has alienated us from Elohim, and has brought us into corruption and the ways of death, and has shown us the paths of perdition, and removed us far from life. And that not just a few of us, but almost all who have been created. He answered me and said, Listen to me, Ezra, and I will instruct you, and will admonish you yet again. For this reason the Most High has made not one world, but two. Whereas you have said that the righteous are not many but few, while the ungodly abound. Hear the explanation for this. Now here, listen closely. This is the meat and the heart, and really everything that surrounds this study is about this passage right here, or the next few verses. So here the angel is asking Ezra a question. If you have just a few precious stones, will you add to them lead and clay? Right? So he's like, if you have some sapphires and emeralds in your hand, would you add to those stones lead and clay? Right? I said, Adonai, how could that be? And he said to me, not only that, but ask the earth, and she will tell you. Defer to her, and she will declare it to you. Say to her, you produce gold and silver and brass, and also iron and lead and clay. But silver is more abundant than gold, and brass than silver, and iron than brass, and lead than iron, and clay than lead. So he's saying that all these different things are more abundant than the others. So judge therefore which things are precious and desirable, those that are abundant or those that are rare. I said, Sovereign Adonai, what is plentiful is of less worth, for what is more rare is more precious. He answered me and said, Weigh within yourself what you have thought, for he who has what is hard to get rejoices more than he who has what is plentiful. So also will be the judgment which I have promised. For I will rejoice over the few who shall be saved, because it is they who have made my glory to prevail now, and through them my name has now been honored. And I will not grieve over the multitude of those who perish, for it is they who are now like a mist, and are similar to a flame and smoke. They are set on fire and burnt hotly, and are extinguished. That's again 2 Ezra chapter 7, verses 45 through 61. So what are we saying here is that what is rare and hard to get is what is precious in Yahweh's sight, and he likens them to fine jewels. So do you ever wonder why in the end days only 144,000 and a great multitude are gathered? So here I'm just hypothesizing perhaps millions, right? But even so, it's still a drop in the bucket. It is because his people are few and the blind are many. It's always been that way. Be not lifted up about this, for it is Yahweh who has redeemed us with his Lamb, his Son's blood, and woken us up and taught us his doctrine. That's his true doctrine, of course. But nevertheless, here in this passage, he says plainly how he feels about you. He likens you to a beautiful stone, one that shines brightly with his true light, the Torah within our hearts. Brothers and sisters, while this world is still filled with toil, pains, loss, and sorrow of heart, rejoice as the Creator of all things has his eye on you, just as one that rejoices in something that is hard to get. Keep this in mind, Matthew 22:14, for many are called, but few are chosen. So years ago, I wanted to be one of the few, the proud, a Marine. But now, the few, the humble, a beautiful and chosen stone of Yahweh's making. How about you? You shall arise and have mercy upon Zion, New Jerusalem. For the time to favor her, yes, the set time is come, for your servants take pleasure in her stones, and favor the dust thereof. So the heathen shall fear the name of Yahweh, and all the kings of the earth your glory. When Yahweh shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. He will regard the prayer of the destitute, and despise not their prayer. This shall be written for the generation to come. And the people which shall be created shall praise Yahweh. For he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did Yahweh behold the earth, to hear the groaning of the prisoner, to loose those that are appointed unto death. And we know that it is appointed for all men to die once, right? To what? To declare the name of Yahweh in Zion, and his praise in Jerusalem, when the people are gathered together, and the kingdoms to serve Yahweh. Psalm 102, 14 through 22. So hopefully you see exactly what is being implied here, right? That when Yah comes back and he builds up Zion, right? It's the beautiful stones within her, and it's this generation it's written for this passage right here is written for this generation to come. And in any case, I find it fascinating. So think about it. Keep seeking him. Keep being rare in his eyes, peculiar, and a beautiful stone in his sight. He's worth everything. And I do believe that we are that generation. And this kind of tells you of what the qualities of that generation would look like. So, and in that generation, the sons shall convict their fathers and their elders of sin and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, and the great wickedness which they perpetrate, and concerning their forsaking the covenant which Yahweh made between them and him, that they should observe and do all his commandments and his ordinances and all his Torah, without departing either to the right hand or to the left. And in those days the children shall begin to study the Torah, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the path of righteousness. And so, brothers and sisters, I do believe that there is a generation that has been, well, it should be plain to see that there's a generation waking up that is coming back to his true service, and that we've been reconciled to the Father through his Son and his offering for us, believing that he is the Messiah, the prophesied one to come, and to follow his teachings, which, if you actually look at his teachings, he does command us to teach us to keep the commandments. Matthew 5:17 through 19 is a very specific one, saying that the Torah would not be, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the Torah till all be fulfilled, not until heaven and earth passes away, to which I think anyone can just step outside and see that that hasn't happened. So that was Jubilees 23:16 through 16 and 26 that talked about this generation to come that would come back to the commandments, that would seek return to the path of righteousness. So while you are that precious stone in Yahweh's eyes, or hopefully you are, right? Remain humble. Hopefully we all are. I don't know who's who and what's what. He's the judge of all things. But truly, from what I can understand and see in his word, it is those that, again, believe in his Son, have been reconciled back to him, and keep his ways in spirit and in truth, not being a jerk or a bully about it, not putting in everybody's faces, not being haughty or uplifted or prideful about it, but one that's doing it in a true service, in a true way that he's commanded us to do it, in spirit and in truth. So while you are precious stone in Yahweh's eyes, remain humble unto the end. Thus says Yahweh, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, let not the mighty man glory in his might, let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him who glories glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yahweh, who practice steadfast love, justice, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, says Yahweh. And that's Jeremiah 9:23 through 24. So I wanted to thank you, sister, for your email in the Ruach, that's in the Spirit, that led to this study. So thank you. Now, here, a quick addendum I added. I was going to do this yesterday, but I wanted to just add something, just keeping in mind that if we are building blocks for the spiritual house and the dwelling place of the Ruach HaKodesh, that's the Holy Spirit, the set-apart Spirit. So with all this in mind, remember that ancient Jerusalem was where Yahweh placed his name. But in the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to place his name, that's Deuteronomy 16:6. So, and there's a bunch more passages that show us that Jerusalem was where he placed his name. So if we are Jerusalem now, or in a corporate future tense, what I mean is that, maybe we're still all in dispersion, maybe we're all still in Egypt or Babylon, whatever you want to call it, hopefully we're leaving Babylon in a spiritual sense, but you know what I mean, we're still spread abroad. Perhaps we're not really Jerusalem yet until he gathers us together, but we're Jerusalem in waiting. But in a lot of ways, we are Jerusalem because he has placed his name on us. We are the ones giving him his true worship and praise that he's commanded us to give. So if we're Jerusalem now, or in a corporate future tense, we are to keep his dwelling place set apart, special, set apart from the world, different. With the direction the world is headed, let's keep his dwelling place clean, free of pharmakia. And if you want to learn more about what pharmakia looks like, just search pharmakia parable of the vineyard. And we've got a study from a few months ago where we dove really deep into what pharmakia really looks like in our day and age. But specifically, what I'm talking about now is because you can't not hear about this right now, but specifically this thing, this JAB that everyone is talking about, whether it's the mark or not, it is unclean and an abomination. If you read the article here, you can click on what the definition of abomination is. So it is unclean. This thing that they're sticking in people's arms is unclean, regardless of any other further implications of what it may or may not be. It's an abomination. It's unclean. There's ingredients in there that have no belonging in and within the temple of Yah. So let me just go ahead and read this sentence, sorry. Whether it's the mark or not, it is unclean and an abomination, Daniel 9:27, in and of itself. Stay far away. Yahweh is our healer, and after all, Yahweh is our healer after all, and whatever worldly privileges you might lose for not getting the poke will be well worth the wait for what's next. For the children, so just there's some past things to consider in a physical sense, and now think about it in a spiritual sense. For the children of Yehuda have done evil in my sight, saith Yahuwah. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it, Jeremiah 7:30. And first I will recompense their iniquity, and their sin is double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. And this detestable word here is the same word that's used as the abomination in Daniel 9:27. And that was Jeremiah 16:18. But they set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to defile it. So remember, that's Jeremiah 32:34. So remember, you also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Messiah Yahusha. 1 Peter 1:25. So if we are those lively stones, which hopefully you are, we all should be striving to be those living stones. If we are that place in a corporate sense, there's no room for putting any abominations in our bodies. And that's not just this pokey poke thing. There's a lot more to that. That's unclean food, even what goes in your eyes, what goes in your ears, what you look at, what you listen to, what you put in your mouth. Goes far and wide. Again, if you want to learn more about that, there's a video that we looked at a couple months ago called Leaving Babylon Pharmakia, something like that. So you can search it. I'll put it in the link in the description box below, and I'll put it in the comment section and whatnot. So the last thing I want to leave you with is if you want to come back here to the article. So I'm asking a question. The last question I have is, what sort of brilliance do you as a living stone shine forth? And you can click this link, watch this 5-minute video, but we're going to play it for you now. So with that, I'm going to end with that video. So with that, brothers and sisters, hey, rejoice if you are called and chosen of the Most High. That possibly means that you are you believe in the Son of the Most High, you keep His commandments in spirit and in truth, and if so, He looks at you as a beautiful stone in His hand. I hope that blesses you.
New Jerusalem, it said, is built, made up of 12 precious stones that we would make into jewelry now. Now here's the fascinating thing, which to me is the final proof that that book is the Word of God, that it must be God inspired. In the last generation only, we've discovered how to make purer light than we had before. Most light is bouncing around, waves crashing into each other, going in all directions, so that the light coming from that spotlight still lights this side of my face by reflecting off that tinsel up there. We're used to light coming at us from all directions. But we've now discovered how to send light in one direction. Laser light is the most common. You've seen laser light beams straight as a die. But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. A polarized filter, if you can imagine, allows light through like that. But if you put another polarized filter at right angles to that, you've really got a very fine filter. If you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through. Now, people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes, and then shone cross-polarized light through them to see what happens. To put it very crudely, what happens to these precious stones in pure light? And one of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. The technical term, I'll give you a bit of science for a moment, is anisotropic jewels and isotropic jewels. Now what happens is this: some jewels in pure light, whatever their color to begin with, they may be red, blue or green, turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones in pure light lose all their color, just go black. look like a lump of coal dust. And it's only in this generation that people have discovered this unusual property. For example, diamonds in pure light are nothing.
Did you get that, ladies?
They're not
Did you
even
hear that? Diamonds, nothing. They won't be there.
No, so make the most of them here. Rubies, garnets, just lose everything.
Emeralds.
No, they keep it.
Oh, good.
There are other stones that are anisotropic and go into these beautiful colors. Now here's the fascinating thing. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic. In pure light, they are all far more beautiful. And God doesn't touch the diamonds or the rubies. He doesn't build with them. Now, let's just put on the screen a picture of these stones.
Yeah.
Look at the top 12 stones on this picture, and you'll see the stones of the New Jerusalem. Look at the 4 bottom ones at the bottom of the picture, and you'll see they're black, no attraction, whatever. Now then, who knew this 2,000 years ago? No scientist knew it. Nobody knew it. John the Apostle, writing down the book of Revelation as the Lord dictated it to him, he didn't know. Nobody knew except one person in the entire universe, and he knew, and that was God himself.
Where is that written exactly?
Revelation 21,
Right.
halfway through, and you'll find all the 12 stones listed there. And you can just imagine from the picture we've seen on the screen how beautiful the New Jerusalem is going to be. No need for do-it-yourself decoration or changing rooms there. No need. The materials that God uses will be fabulous.
From verse 19, 21
right.
verse 19.
Read them out.
The first foundation was jasper,
Yeah.
the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst.
No diamonds, no rubies, no garnets, because they're isotropic. Now, isn't that amazing? To me, that one thing alone would prove that the Bible was inspired by God, because nobody could have known this. They didn't know it until our generation.